Fuck you.
Hello and welcome to episode 80 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Roivers. With me as usual is John Denton.
Hello.
Over the next indeterminate period of time, we're going to go through two top 10 lists, the 10 games we've been playing over the past 7 days. The number 10s are the games we've been playing the least. The number 1s are the games we've been playing the most. And I think that's it, John. Let's do this.
All right, my number 10... Listen, it's rubbish. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not a great one. It had intended to be good, but it didn't happen through reasons that will become clear later on. It's the Jak and Daxter trilogy on PlayStation Vita, which is on PS Plus. However, I didn't really get a chance to play it. I've never played any of the Jak and Daxter games before, apart from Jak X, which was the kart racer, which I reviewed for Games TM years and years and years ago, and that was fucking awful. But by all accounts, the real deals are very good, and obviously they're from a studio with impeccable pedigree. So I'm excited to check them out. They took longer than I thought they would to download, and then I just think it's terrible. I've got no excuse. I've got no good excuse for why I didn't actually get a chance to play them. But look at this as a PSA. If you have PlayStation Plus and didn't realise that Jak and Daxter trilogy was on there for Vita, it is. So get it. It's about 3 gig if you need that much space on your card. And I'll have a go soon. But, you know, it's not like they're not old games. People know if they're good or not.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I played those a little while ago, didn't I, on PS3, and I was surprised by how they were pretty consistently excellent, to be honest. And they've got that.
That's
great
right, you did, didn't you?
Yeah, they're really, really good. I mean, I think they got. Did they get better? I can't remember. They're consistently good anyway. So yeah, do that. Are they on PS3 as well, or just? Vita?
I would have thought so. Yeah, I've not checked it on PS3.
Okay. Well, my number 10 is a game called Bullet Car on PC/Mac. It's a flash game, browser game. Somebody mentioned it on Twitter. I don't remember who, and I don't know why, because it is a couple of years old. I think it's from 2011. It's if you want to search for it, search for Bullet Car. I think the publisher. I didn't realise flash games had publishers, but it's on the website of a company called Armour Games. It's developed by someone called The Podge, who has his own website. I assume it's a he. I assume it's one solitary fat man. I don't want to, just because of the name. But anyway, it's a side-on downhill racer, and you literally, it's like a side-on bike racer. It was a car racer. You switch between a car and a bullet, and you change to a bullet when you want to smash through barriers or go over long distances, or destroy enemies that periodically sort of float in front of you. It moves so fast that it's really twitchy. And it's really Moorish. I got completely hooked on it for a little while. What's odd is that there are achievements and loads of things are locked, so there's loads of unlockables, which is asking a lot of people for just like a flash game.
Yeah.
It's asking people to invest a load of time. But it's a really good idea and it works really well. Yeah, you're just flipping between being this car and being this bullet. It's good. It's really quite good. Bullet Car. It's a good little time waster, though I don't know why you'd want to get achievements and whatnot on it.
Just Google it. Just Bullet Car, Google it.
Bullet Car, Armour Games, done.
Sweet. All right. My number 9 is a game called Project Rap on Xbox Live Indie Game Service. I discovered this about 5 minutes before the podcast because I needed one more game. And it's utterly bizarre. You pick a rapper, and then a line will come up at the top of the screen, and then you have to end that line with a bunch of words that appear on the screen. And you have to quickly move your cursor over one of the words and click it. And then the next line will come up, and then a bunch more words will come up, and you have to try and pick one that rhymes. And then as you're doing it, the rapper will actually rap the words that are happening. So everything's voice recorded. And I found it fucking hilarious, just trying to... It starts... So the homie's rolling in the club or something like that. The homie's rolling in the club, and we're going to do... And then it gives you a gap, and you've got all these stupid words that you can pick. And then it's and the shorty is there, and you go... And the fucking rhymes are terrible, but... Just trying to link them together quickly, because you have to move fast, because if it gets to the end of the line and you're still trying to pick a word, then the tune sounds terrible. So it's actually quite a good idea. I was tempted. I played it for about 5 minutes. I thought it was pretty funny. I was tempted just to drop the 69 penneth on it, just because I like the idea, and it has potential to be, to actually be pretty hilarious, I think.
I saw the box art, and I assumed that it's like you needed a microphone to play it.
No, yeah, you don't. No.
Okay, well, I'm going to play that as well. So, I mean, are you going to?
I'm going to play more of the trial because I didn't finish the trial. I just played it for 5 minutes. It seemed to be quite a generous trial, and then I might. It's only 69 penneth.
All right, yeah. Okay, well, I mean, I saw that in the store, and I think I might have downloaded it, so I might talk about it next week.
Sweet.
Okay, my number 9 is also an Xbox Live indie game. It's called Learn to Eat.
That's the one I almost picked, and then I saw Project Rap.
Yeah, I downloaded it as well because I saw the little logo at the bottom, Silver Dollar Games, so I thought it was worth a look. A lot of the criticism that they've taken is that their games are very primitive. They're deliberately sort of simplistic, and I can't imagine they've done anything as simplistic in this. This does take the cake. You control an egg-shaped... I mean, the artwork must have been done in minutes. It's a baby or a person with a bald head, I don't know, and then you literally control the spoon. So you lower it, you dip it into some soup, which is all sorts of multicolours. It's basically paint, and then you raise it up and you press A when it gets to the mouth. But it just starts wobbling and you can't control it, and you end up just walloping paint all over yourself. It's not worth 69 pence because it's the most simple thing in the world. I found it quite difficult to dislike because at the end of the day, it is an idea. It does work, and I can imagine kids being entertained with it for a few minutes or whatever. What really made me like it, not so much the game. I'm more enamoured with Silver Dollar Games the more I find out about them. But the best thing about it is that there's a really nicely presented gallery of all of their games. They've done over 50. I didn't realise it was that many. But there's like an interactive where you can flick through, which is quite nice. And also they've got this little library of all of their, well, not all of it, but like criticism that they've received. So there's a menu, and it's just all of this stuff. Like, these guys are con artists, and like they've made the worst games ever made. Some of them are quite spiteful, some of them are quite amusing, some of them are both together. And I really like that. I don't think it's worth paying 69p for, but I do like what they do.
Yeah, I like old Silver Dollar. I've got a lot of time for them, especially after One Finger Death Punch, as we talked about multiple times.
Yeah, I'm tempted to go through their entire back catalogue, which I might do.
But just to trial it all up.
Well, no, I think I'd quite like. Well, I'm quite skint at the moment, but I'd like to buy every game they've made and just like be able to be like the encyclopedia on their stuff, because some of it really does look quite interesting.
It cost you about like 35 quid or something. Yeah. Oh, all right. My number 8 it's not great. It's the iFruit app for Grand Theft Auto 5. I thought I'd do it separately, seeing as it's not really worth talking about when you're talking about the proper game. You've obviously seen that it talks about this all the time in the game, tells you to download it. Yeah. It's actually quite shit. You download it, and it is a way of training Chop the dog, and you can also customise your car on another bit of it, and then there were some other parts that were just more Rockstar Game Social Club stuff. I didn't really understand, like a preview of the game, which is weird. I don't really know why they released it. The car customization stuff's really bad because you can't see any of the parts or anything like that. It's just like a picture, like a side-on blueprint almost of your car, and then you can just choose to pick different things to put on it, and then it will zap that to your Xbox or whatever, and you'll have it when you go back on, but you can't see any of it. So if you're customizing a car, you want to see what the fucking hood looks like, or the spoiler, or any of that shit, and you can't see any of it, so that's a waste of time. It does allow you to customize your license plate though, which I'm not too sure if you can actually do that in the game or not. So that's all right. And then the Chop the dog thing, it's like, I can't believe that. I actually can't believe that Rockstar released something like this, because it is like a shit. It's just like any shit app where you just play with a dog and chuck a ball around and like feed him food. It's like a Tamagotchi thing for a dog, but it doesn't have that. You'd think if Rockstar was to release like a Tamagotchi thing, it would be like sort of quite a biting parody of nothing basically, but they'd still make it funny and just stupid and crass. But it's not. It's just a bit shit, and it's got really bad reviews on the App Store, of thousands of downloads, and I can't see me ever using it, to be honest. It's a pretty whack companion app, and I'm surprised that it keeps mentioning it in the game. So it ain't great.
Do you reckon it was even developed by Rockstar? Surely they farmed that out to someone else.
I guess so, but they've got so many teams, haven't they? That I don't know, but. Yeah, I'm not too sure why it exists. The potential for a good companion app is definitely there, but I mean, I'm all for them spending that money on the game rather than some app. But yeah, it ain't great.
Is it massively?
It's obviously free.
Is it hugely beneficial anyway? I mean, training the dog. I know it can be your companion and it will listen to you, but well, I suppose you won't know that until you finish the game, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it's massively beneficial. I think it's just something you can do. I think.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I've downloaded it. I haven't used it, but I love it.
I just thought I'd separate it out just in case people were thinking about getting it or not. I mean, it's free, so just get it or don't get it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. Fair play. Okay, my number 8 is Super Street Fighter 4 on the Xbox 360.
It's been a while for me.
It's been a while for me too. Not very long, but I mean, yeah. Battlefield 3 went down on Friday night. I don't know what happened. The servers all died and you just couldn't play it. And so the people I was playing with, the only game we all had was Super Street Fighter 4. So we stuck it on and we sat in the lobby, and it was just amazing. Stick it in the museum. One of the best games ever made. We had a lobby of 4, and there was 3 of us, and we were just like rounds and round. Winner stays on, and we were the whole time. We're like, come on, let's have an opponent. Let's get a new guy in here.
Yeah.
First guy that turns up is this freakish German bloke who just picks every character on the roster and schooled everybody with it. So
really?
We regretted wishing that he was there. So we kicked him in the end.
Well, yeah, you got them.
But yeah, Super Street Fighter 4
can only last so long.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, the game is just a jaw-dropping masterpiece still.
Yeah, I'm still looking forward to the new version, although it's a shame that it's on the old consoles by the time it comes out, but I'll still have them around.
True, me too.
All right, my number 7 is Lone Survivor on PlayStation Vita. I talked about this game, I think maybe on the very first episode of Chet and John's. It certainly was in the first 3 when I played it on PC. And I think I'd say it was probably the game that really introduced me to what was going on in PC indie games. I kind of knew that there were PC indie games beforehand, but I'd never really paid much mind to them. I didn't have a PC with a graphics card. I didn't have my Mac then, so I didn't really have any access to playing games on a computer. But because this game was so low rent in terms of its visuals, I was able to play it on my computer, and it kind of opened up a whole world for me. And now it's on PlayStation Vita, as every fucking good indie game seems to be. If you don't know what it is, it's by a chap called Jasper Byrne, who actually did some of the music in Hotline Miami, some of my favourite tracks, incidentally. And the music's good in this game. It's a side-on survival horror game, very much in the Silent Hill mould, but hard, weird, unsettling, definitely with a lot of Lynchian influences, which Silent Hill has anyway, the old ones, and very, very good, very surprisingly scary. And the Vita version is obviously, as it always is, excellent. It's handled by Curve, who I think did the Vita version of Thomas Was Alone, which is also excellent. And yeah, it just looks better than it looked on PC. It controls much better than it controlled on PC. It sounds great with headphones. It's portable. You know, you can't beat it. I don't actually know what price it's coming out at. I was lucky enough to get hold of a download code for it, so I should check that out. In terms of price, but I'd highly recommend it if you like the old Silent Hill games. I wouldn't say it's not like something like Hotline Miami or Velocity, which I'll talk about later, where I kind of pretty much recommend it universally, or even Spelunky. This is, if you're not really into slow-paced, creepy, unsettling, weird games, which I'm sure not everyone is, then it probably might not be for you. But there's plenty of people who miss that nastiness of the old Silent Hills, and this definitely captures that. He's a huge, I think he lists Silent Hill 2 as his favourite game ever or something. But yeah, he's a very talented guy.
Fair enough. That's always. I will make a date with that game at some point. A lot of people seem to be coming out of the woodwork to say that Silent Hill 2 is their favourite game. It's quite interesting. I've heard that.
It's definitely in my top. Yeah, it's difficult to put one ahead of another in terms of any games, but it's up there for me. It's one of my favourite games of all time. Definitely one of the games that kind of made me realise what gaming could be.
Yeah.
I haven't gone back to it though. Sorry, I'm just rambling. But I haven't gone back to it. I kind of don't want to, just in case it's not good anymore.
Yeah. Is Lone Survivor still? Is it out now, or is it still?
Again, sorry. You always come to Chet and John to get the best information. I don't know. I'm guessing not, because he tweeted about just getting his hands on it, and I managed to get hold of a code. So I'm guessing it's not actually out yet. But I'll drop a tweet about it and have a look after the podcast.
All right. If it hasn't gone through him, surely he can sort of put the kibosh on anything that he doesn't like, right? So,
Well, it's actually a director's cut, so I think it sort of worked in tandem with Kurt.
Oh,
but I think they've probably just done the nuts and bolts of getting it on the machine.
Yeah, right.
And he's still been in charge of everything.
Okay, cool. No, I'll play that game at some point, no doubt. Okay, all right. Well, my number 7 is a game called Power Up on the Xbox 360. It's an indie game. And it's really rather good. It's a very, very familiar in the fact that it's a side-scrolling kind of R-type style shooter. But the way it goes about it is actually quite neat. It's all about leveling up, and at first it's really, really bewildering. And because there's so many different weapons, there's so many different collectibles. It takes a little while to get your head around it, and it's really difficult. I had to put it down to easy a couple of times at first because you really need to get to grips with it. Basically, you have 5 different weapons, and one of the weapons, for example, fires forward, one of them's like a spread, one fires sideways, and one of them fires backwards. And the levels are very varied, so that there will be hard sequences where you need to use one kind of weapon and one, but you choose how you level them up. So if you don't level up, say, the sideways cannons enough, when you get to that sequence, it's going to be really difficult. So it's a difference between, because if you power one weapon up, those sequences are really fun because you just decimate everything, but it's maintaining that balance. So it's actually quite clever because you effectively set the difficulty for yourself. You also pick up collectibles for your speed, and there's a force field, and you blast like a smart bomb. But they're not exactly, you can't choose that. They're what you find on the screen.
Right.
It's really, really quite smart. I mean, I had this really weird feeling when I was playing it that just I thought, because it's really polished. It's made by one guy, and when I was playing it, I thought it wasn't that long ago, maybe 15 years, where this would cut it as like a £40 SNES game or something like that. It's really, really tight, and there's some replay value because you can sort of download these different ships with different paint jobs and stuff, and it's really challenging. Like I said, I had to put it back on it. I've put it back on normal now because I'm playing through it on normal, and I might go up to hard, but it's initially it's very difficult. The only problem with it, and this is really unfortunate because it's a problem with all shooters on XSplig, or all games on XSplig, really, is that obviously you can't have leaderboards, and that's a real shame that's missing. But that's the service, unfortunately. But yeah, it's Power Up. It's 69p. It's, if you like shooters, you've got to give it a go.
I do like R-Type. I really do.
It definitely warrants the comparison with some of the games in that genre, and some of the bosses are really cool as well. It just beggars belief that it's as smart as it is, and and the story's actually quite nice. It's you're the last guy on Earth, and Earth's sort of the last people on Earth were sent off in these pods, and they're being hunted down by. That's
right. Yeah. That's quite cool.
There's these blurb at the beginning, the thing that everyone takes the piss out of because it's like, I don't need a story, but the story's actually quite nice. But yeah, it's good. 69p, for God's sake. If you like shooters, I really do recommend it.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah.
Power
R-Type, man. I fucking love R-Type.
I've got a lot of time for that.
Yeah. Cool. All right, my number 6 is a game called Naya, probably Naya's Quest. This came out today, as far as I'm aware, or maybe yesterday. Time recording, which is Thursday. It's the new game from Terry Kavanagh, but it's a free game, browser game. It is basically. I'll try and explain how it works, and then I'll talk about what I think about it. You play as a little girl. I assume she's called Naya. The whole thing's done in a kind of Qbert style grid, so like an isometric grid.
Yeah.
And it starts off, and you can just move around square by square. You can jump. They're basically your only interactions. Very quickly, you find a box which allows you to view. I can't remember what it's called, which is terrible of me. But basically, it's a machine that allows you to view the world in a different way. And then you go a bit further. I don't really understand what this is for. And then the game starts properly. And it's basically a navigation game where you have to get from the door you come into to the door you come out of. But it's all about fucking with perspective. So when you look at it, straight on, it looks like you've got a path from your door in blue squares, da-da-da, go right, jump over the gap, da-da-da. But then you move 2 squares and then you'll just fall to your death. Then you press the button, and what's actually happening is it's a perspective trick. And when you press the button, it shows a shadow underneath different blocks where it actually is in real space. So what might look like it's a block that's touching the block that you're standing on is actually to the left of it. It's just all about perspective tricks. It's a really neat idea, and the execution's very good, which isn't surprising given who made it. But as we know, if you listen to this podcast, I am stupid. I don't have a sense of direction. I have terrible spatial awareness, and I'm terrible with perspective, anything like that. So I found this game frustratingly and eventually unpleasantly difficult, even in the early stages, which is a shame because it seems interesting because there's this whole story about like the world's ending and you're coming to something called the Edge, and it's just all done really like snappily. Just as she moves through, there'll be like one line of dialogue that comes and goes quickly, and it's all written down. Just nice, quick, efficient writing, makes you interested. And I want to get further, but every room that you go to, you have 3 lives, and if you fuck up 3 times, you have to go back to the beginning of the previous room. And I just kept fucking up, even though I knew what to do. I just kept fucking up, and it is hard and it is taxing on the mind. And it's not just me being that bad, but I freely admit that my brain is terrible when it comes to stuff like this, and it was just getting to the point where it's annoying. But I've left it open on my browser, and I do intend to go back to it because I want to know what happens, and it is a cool game. So hopefully I'll be able to use my brain a little bit better. But if you like shit like that, Escher style paintings, perspective tricks, get on it, because Terry Kavanagh knows what he's doing, and this seems like another cracker.
Yeah, I think I understand from your description how it works. I'm definitely going to check it out. It's nice of him to put a game out for free, considering with his name on it, he could have charged for it.
Yeah, I think he probably could have charged for it. Yeah.
Okay, what was it called?
Naya, Naya. Naya's Quest, but if you just Google Terry Kavanagh and go to his website, it's like the main thing on the website. I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember anything tonight.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm definitely going to check that out. Sounds gleam.
Yeah, it's cool. It's very cool.
Okay, my number 6 is a game called Foul Play on the Xbox 360. It's an arcade game. I don't know if it's on PSN or PC. And it's really, really good. The only problem with it is that I've played way too many games like it, especially on Xbox Live Arcade. Have you heard about this?
No.
Okay, it came out yesterday. It's the conceit's nice. It's all set in a theatre, and you're supposed to be this baron who's like doing a one-night live show, like to recount his tales, because he's this sort of adventurer Indiana Jones type. Okay. And then it all takes place on the theatre stage, and it's a side-scrolling brawler. You've got a heavy and a light attack. There's a dodge and a parry. It feels nice and accessible, but it's like, strangely enough, like Killer is Dead, you can parry forever, so it's not like a sort of, although it's all about making combos, maintaining combos is not very difficult, so it's quite accessible. It looks nice. Yeah, you just have to keep combos going and keep the audience entertained, and if you don't, the curtain will fall, and then it's the end of the show. It's got a 2-player co-op. It's hard. I mean, I've played so many side-scrolling brawlers like this that it's quite difficult to pick out why it felt so nice. There was something very, very satisfying and chunky about the combat. Yeah, I would like to play some more of it, but it's difficult to know what to say, really, because it's like many other games that I've played. It's good ones. It's better than some, not better than others. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's really good, and it does look nice. It does have a very, very nice visual style to it, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll play some more.
Yeah, it sounds cool, but it's just tough. Yeah. It's tough to find time for a side-scrolling brawler.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, tough way to get released as well, Jesus.
Yeah, really.
Okay, right. My next two are a bit like retreading old ground, so I won't spend too long on them. My number 5 is Velocity Ultra again on Vita, just trying to power through towards the end now. So, I mean, it's just a fucking cracking game. I can't recommend this game highly enough, really. If you've got a Vita, just get it. Please just get it. I think if you like video games and the fucking tactility and fun that a video game can provide, when it's just pure game and the controls are fucking perfect and you get that feeling of, I don't know, some people call it flow, some people call it all sorts of different things, but that fucking feeling when you're playing a video game and you're just kind of at one with the controls and you're just in the game, you're not thinking about your hands, you're not thinking about anything, and cool things are happening constantly and ideas are happening constantly. That's this game. He's got a sequel coming out which is apparently half shooter, half platformer, which this game's nothing like, and he's going to be showing it at Eurogamer next week, so I'm definitely going to try and find time to come and find the guy and go and see that. I'm very excited. I'm hearing that it's fucking amazing. The guy, the Shahid Ahmed guy, the guy who's handling all the sort of indie deals on PlayStation, tweeted that it could be one of the best games ever. Now, he's obviously on the side of Sony, and how much can you trust that line? But he had no reason to say that, and he's not said that about any other game. So that makes me excited. Given how good this is, and given how my perception of it is that it was made either just by this guy or maybe with like an artist to help him, with a minimal amount of money, I've talked about it before. They've concentrated all their efforts on making the game as good as it possibly can be, and just get involved, please.
I will get involved next week. Is there going to be? Is it a Vita game that works on PS3, or is it the other way around? So is it going to be a sort of downscaled? Is it going to look shoddy on TV?
I think they're two separate games.
Okay.
I think the Velocity came out on PS3, and as a mini, I think it came out as a mini, which was their initiative, like App Store games, wasn't it? The PlayStation Minis.
Don't those have to also work on PSP?
I think so.
So that's what I mean. I never downloaded one. I mean, I downloaded one, which was Bishi Bashi Special, which was a direct port of the PS1. But I don't know whether it's going to look quite ropey. It's kind of just feels like another reason for me to get a Vita, really.
Yeah. Honestly, I genuinely don't know, but it looked good on YouTube. The original, it looked fine.
All right.
But that was on a small screen. But yeah, the Vita version is the shit. It's like £6. It's one of the best games on the machine, and that's saying something these days.
Okay, fuck. All right, okay. Well, my number 5 is Paper Mario Sticker Star on the Nintendo 3DS.
Oh, I know where. I kind of always wanted to play this.
Yeah, I forgot about it. My girlfriend was a huge champion of it and didn't stop asking me for a time that I had to play it. And I finally got around to borrowing it off her. I haven't played very much. I've played the opening stretch, and it feels really nice initially. There's this. I've said this so many times, but I can't stress it enough. The people or the person who localizes Nintendo games is a genius, or they are geniuses, because I busted out laughing about 5 times in the opening 15 minutes. Just the banter from these little toads. So it's so weird because it's so askew and seems like it's been translated, but it's very English at the same time.
Right.
Some of the stuff, I honestly was cracking up non-stop. It's too early for me to know what the game's about, but at the beginning, these toads get sort of turned into stickers. You get turned into a sticker, so you're sort of.
I get turned into a sticker.
Mario gets turned into a sticker, so you're all of these 2D guys, and these toads are sort of stuck to all this. You have to look around this part of the world trying to find them, and there's a very satisfying hold the button. Pull them off the wall, and then they come up with some fucking weird nonsense. Yeah, that's literally all I've done, the opening stretch, but it was really fun, really polished. There's got this really weird sort of slap bass jazz kind of music as well. I'm just like, the Paper Mario games are always Mario a little bit sort of ski-whiff, a little bit weird, and I like that about them. Yeah, it's too early to know what the sort of form of the game's going to be like, but we're cracking opening, really.
I've never played a Paper Mario game.
Have you not?
No, shamefully not. I meant to play the GameCube one, was it? Yeah, there was one on the game.
Was there?
There was.
I think there was, and there was one on the Wii. And
I meant to play them all, but never got around to it for some reason. And then this one, I kind of saw it in the shop and thought about it, and then forgot it existed. So yeah, I've always been interested, but again, am I going to have time to play a Paper Mario game? I don't know if I am.
At the moment,
it's a shame.
To be honest, I was going to have a look at it and then possibly tuck it away, but what a killer opening.
Right.
And it's just... I mean, I played the first Paper Mario game I played was on the Wii, and I liked it so much that I went back and downloaded the N64 one, and that was great. And I'm hoping this one lives up, because I think I'm going to stick with it.
My buddy Simon Miller from videogamer.com raved about it. He really liked it as well. So I'd heard it kind of got middling reviews, didn't it? Like a lot of 7s and things. So
did it? I don't remember. I thought it got. Yeah. I thought it was getting the usual high marks you'd expect. But God, I mean, any game that can make me properly crack up 5 times in 10 minutes is doing something very right.
Yeah, too right. All right. Yeah. Oh, I do want to play one day. That does seem like a good one. But then every time I open my 3DS, I just think, this isn't the other 3DS, and it just makes me sad. Why don't you just go and trade it in then? Get a new one. I tried to once, but it didn't have any. Still the worst story I've ever told. I worked it one day, but Vita is doing it for me in a handheld space right now. My number 4, I promised I wouldn't talk about it to myself, but fuck it. Basically, on Monday, I convinced myself, as half the population of the UK, that my copy of GTA was going to come early, and it didn't. So instead of just going back to normal life and working like a good person, I just sort of sat in a sulk and just played Rock Band Blitz to cheer myself up for fucking ages, to be honest. And I don't know why. I don't know if I just didn't notice this before, but I felt like I'd played all my songs. But now I've gone on to this, and I've not played loads and loads and loads of the songs that I own on this game. I've not played them on Rock Band Blitz. Loads of them. Probably like half of them. So I've just been going through playing all the songs that I hadn't played, like 7 Nirvana songs and Like all my Weezer tunes, like even Black Keys songs. I fucking love Black Keys. So that is just tremendous, tremendous fun. I'm frustrated. I watched your videos of how you do it, and I watched some other YouTube videos of how the 5-star people do it. They basically play exactly the same as you, and I play like that. I'm just not as good, and that's the most frustrating thing of all. It's not like I need to learn a new way of playing. I just basically need to be faster and more accurate, and there's only two ways that's going to happen: if I get 10 years younger, or just play it for another 30 to 40 hours. Neither of which is going to happen. But yeah, that's enough.
I can't tell you how much I wish I happened upon half of my library of songs. I can't imagine. That would just be the greatest thing ever. I'd fucking love for that to happen. The thing that I took a really long time to understand is, when you're in Blitz and you're moving at twice the speed.
Yeah.
That's where all the points are. So that just. Oh, I didn't. It took me ages to realise.
My main issue. I'll just quickly say this because people don't care about Rockman Blitz. They certainly don't want to hear about the fucking minute mechanics of it. But when I switch lanes, when we're moving at speed and you're going between lanes and trying to be quick, I always miss the first note. My timing on moving lanes is terrible. And I watch your videos and you always hit the first note, and I know that's where, because my blitz, I'm losing my blitz. Enough, John. Nobody gives a fuck.
What was that song, incidentally, you spoke about last week that you said you were going to smash me on?
I tried again. I failed. So it was Self-Esteem by The Offspring.
Okay, all right. All right. Well, my number 4 is Killer is Dead. I finished it for a second time. I'd like to think that I would. It is surprisingly short when you know what you're doing.
Right.
I could probably play through it a third time. I think it's still entertaining, having played through it twice, which is more than most action games can achieve. But I've had to sort of put it to bed. I've done it twice, and I think that's it. I'll play it in 50 years in an old people's home or something, but. There's too many games coming out. But it was nice to go through it a second time, and I still think it stands up, and I still think it's very, very good indeed.
Just fucking you at 83 years old or whatever playing Killer is Dead in old people's home, just making everybody leave the room. Yeah, that'd be gleam. Still want to play it. No time. We'll just play it one day, hopefully. They announced a new game today. Did you see?
No,
yesterday.
No.
It's called Lily Bergamo. Everything was in Japanese, so I couldn't understand it. But the main character is a female. She was wearing clothes that would probably cause an uproar. Yeah, that's what they do these days. It would seem.
Is it action?
I'm sure it's an action game. Yeah.
Is it Suda or just Grasshopper?
Suda announced it, and it was Grasshopper. But I mean, how involved is he these days? We don't know. Yeah,
there was a great. If you watch the Yahtzee, what's he called? Zero Punctuation review of Killer is Dead. He makes some very amusing wisecracks about that, because it is so nebulous, his involvement. Who knows? But yeah.
All right. I do. Yeah, I still really want to play it. Still really want to play that shit. Okay, cool. We're rattling through these. This is good. My number 3 is The Wonderful 101, which I talked about on Joypad, because we were on Joypad this week.
Joypod.
I said Joypod. Did I not? I actually, my mouth and my brain tried to make me say Joypod twice. Did it come out as an A?
Joypad, yeah.
Fuck. I hate my mouth. I would never call it Joypad. Joypod. There we go. I just needed to enunciate better. Apologies to everyone involved. So yeah, we were on Joypad, and The Wonderful 101, number 3. It's fucking. Yeah, it's all gone wrong. Everything's gone wrong. This is an extremely difficult game to understand at first, to the point where I don't really understand why they made it so impenetrable. This is never going to be a game that sold a huge amount. It seemed like it could at one point, because it seemed like it had the kind of Nintendo charm mixed with the platinum, high-level action gamey stuff. But if you put this in front of your standard Nintendo semi-casual gamer, or whatever you want to label them as, they would be utterly clueless as to what the hell was going on, as was I for the first 40 minutes. Basically, you play as one of the Wonderful 101. You can switch between them. They're little tiny superheroes. They're not tiny, it's just they're tiny on the screen. And they're followed by a bunch of other superheroes. You can recruit civilians to join your thing, and then you can either draw on the screen or use the right stick to build your line of people into a weapon, or occasionally a bridge or a ladder, but mainly weapons. A bunch of information comes up on the screen during the tutorial. None of it makes any sense. And then it suddenly gets really, really fucking hard. Reason being, you don't have a block or a dodge at first. Then you have to buy those. It doesn't tell you to buy them. It's just on the off chance you happen to know to do that. I think I'd heard it somewhere, so I went to go and do it. But they're not called block and dodge. The block is called, I can't remember, something guts, and the dodge is called something ball. I mean, a wave? I don't know. But once you get those, which you earn points in the game, the currency, standard shit, then the game starts to get a bit easier because you can block incoming attacks and get out of the way. Even then, I still need to watch a video by a chap called either Saw or Sour, the Saur, who's this like master at these types of games. He always puts out videos on how to achieve like high levels in games like Bayonetta and any action game, how to put together like S-rank combos and stuff like that. And he gives a good tutorial on basically how to play it, and then quickly how to be good at it. And you soon realise that it is actually, for as much as it looks like a Pikmin or something like that, it is definitely a platinum action game. It is all about chaining together massive combos. It's all about fucking absolutely smashing the shit out of things without getting hit. And when you get the hang of it, I would recommend not using the gamepad. It's much easier to use the right stick. It's much quicker and more accurate, and you don't have to somehow balance a stylus in between two of your fingers while you're trying to hold the controller. Once you've got your head around that, you can actually start smacking things up and satisfying in a way that very few other developers can create games like this, and it doesn't play like anything else. So I have only played the tutorial and the first mission, which is actually 10 missions wrapped into one. That seems to be how the game works, which lasted a good while, and I did loads of restarts because it was hard. Definitely want to go back to it. Definitely want to plow through it and try and understand the systems. Tough at the moment. It's not going to distract me from the next two games on my list for a little while, but it's going to sit there on the Wii U, I think, and I will go back to it. But hopefully it won't be a situation like Vanquish, which took me an extra year and a bit to get around to finishing, Bayonetta, which I've still not finished. So hopefully it won't end up like those two. I'd like to get through it, but it's not... At the moment, it doesn't have the immediacy of either of those two or Metal Gear Rising, but it's definitely better than Anarchy Reigns, which I still like, but it's definitely a lot better than that.
Okay. I've got so many questions, but I suppose you can't answer them if you've...
I might be able to, because I don't know how much it's going to change.
Well, I mean, how much? Because I really did like the way that in the demo that I played months ago and the downloadable demo that's available now, when you went into that house and everything was first person on the screen and you held it up with
I forgot about that, yeah.
Is there a lot of that?
There is one example of that in the opening mission where it turns into a puzzle, actually. Yeah, I should mention that. There are sections where you go inside and then it turns, like Chet said, into a first-person view on the gamepad, which is just a cool little trick. And then it will show something. Well, actually, it took me ages to work this out, and I'll spoil the first puzzle. Inside, there was a bunch of big cogs that needed to be turned. There was a locked door, 3 big cogs, and when you turn it, a number changes. And you can... One of the things that you can turn your dudes into is a big hand, and you can use that to turn the cogs. So I'm turning these cogs I don't really understand. And then I look at the TV screen after about 3 or 4 minutes, probably, of not really having a clue what to do. And I see that it's actually showing an image of the outside of the building that has the answer to this problem on the outside in the numbers. Yeah. And then I'm like, of course. So, yeah, then you work it out straight away. And it's just like, that's cool. You can have a console. I like stuff like that. It does seem to be very interested in making the most out of the Wii U, but it also understands that if people want to play it to the high level that people like to play Platinum games, and I'm playing on normal, and it gives you the option to go easy and very easy from the start, but I am sticking with normal. I think if you want to play on that level or up, you probably really need to use the right stick, unless you've got an extra hand or some weird level of dexterity I could never understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that puzzle's the one from the demo, so I guess it starts at the beginning.
I never played the demo, yeah.
Have you noticed any problems when you're drawing the things? Because if you use the touch...
I don't use it.
But with the thumbstick, is it easy, straightforward?
Yeah, it's piece. Hold it in a line to create a sword, spin it in a circle to make a hand. Later on, it will be do a right angle for a gun. There's a couple more. There's like draw a line and then a circle to make a hammer, I think. I haven't got those weapons yet. Okay. But... if you, as people might not know, the longer that you're able to draw a sword, for example, you'll create a bigger sword, and that'll take up more of your energy. So this is all happening really, really quickly. And it is actually quicker to draw the sword on the thing, but if you're also trying to dodge, you're also trying to manage your dudes that have fallen over, because you need to kind of round them back up by running over them in order to have more dudes to create bigger weapons. it's like there's no way you can switch to. It's kind of like playing Kid Icarus, it's just a bit too awkward. And when the option is there, and the guy Sauer, the dude who did the video, recommended using the right stick, and he knows what he's talking about, it felt like that was the thing to do. But I can see people playing this on very easy and just bashing through it and using the thing and it being a novel game for them. But again, whether or not they'd ever get to the point where they'd have bought it to do that, I don't know. I don't think they would have. I think it's going to be a platinum game fan only type game, unfortunately.
Do you think this is going to be one of those games that ends up on other formats?
I can see it. No, because I think Nintendo published it and put money into it. But it, not knowing the exact ins and outs of the business side of the game, it would work on other formats fine. They'd have to do something about the inside the building thing, but I'm sure they could work around that. And it works. Two sticks. It's better like that anyway. Okay. So I don't know. I don't think it will, because I do think it's a Nintendo game.
Okay. Well, I am so eager to play it, because every time I've touched it, once I've got my head around it, I've absolutely loved it. And Platinum are my boys, so
yeah, of course, yeah.
I will play it at some point. I definitely will. Okay. All right. Well, my number 3 is Pro Evolution Soccer 2014.
That's my number 2.
Okay, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So I've been kind of dying to talk about this for a little while. I've had the review code. My reviews are up on videogamer.com, in fact, and I gave it 9. There's also a feature that's going to be going up next week, basically entitled "Why PES is Better Than FIFA," and it always has been. Slightly incendiary comment.
Yeah.
Slightly incendiary title, but it explained in the text. But yeah, I think I love 2013. Obviously, as people who listen to this podcast will know, this is a real step up from that. The new engine, the Fox engine, lends the game a kind of weight and fluidity that no football game for me has ever had before. It's not 100% perfect. Occasionally the game can feel a little sluggish, but I'd say 90% of that is you're playing it wrong. And I don't mean that in a rude or ignorant way. I do it. Everyone who's played Pro Evo has always done it, and probably the same on FIFA as well, but it's always been more present in Pro Evo and ISS before it. You get too over-eager to get the ball back, you get over-eager to get the ball to your strikers, you get over-eager to try and score, and you just start playing badly. You're not being patient, and then things start to go wrong, and you feel like the game's against you. It's always been the case. If you can then take a step back, take a breather, start playing again. It's exactly what happens to real football teams. They try and get it up to the front man too quickly. It's exactly the same. And then you watch them, they go, no, you need to play the way that they always play. That's 90% of how to fix it. 10%, I'd say, the new animation systems can occasionally be a little bit too sluggish, and I'll only know the full extent of that months down the line, as is always the case with the football game. Having said all of that, imagine the PES magic of olden days, where, this is the point, I make this in the feature, I don't want to spoil the feature, but I can remember a goal that I scored in ISS Pro, and that game came out, I think I was 13 years old when that came out, and I can remember that goal. I can remember it clearly. It was a Colombian guy, I can't remember his name, but he dribbled around 2 people and slammed it in the bottom corner from the edge of the box. And I remember, I was a fucking kid. I've got a list in my mind of goals that I've scored on this game over the years. Pro Evo 2 goals, Pro Evo 5 goals. Amazing moment. I can remember them exactly as they happened. I can't remember any goal that I've scored on FIFA because they're always the same. It's always cut back, slot in the bottom corner, or a through ball. They're just the same. I can remember scoring goals, but I can't remember specific ones. Already in PES 2014, I've had some amazing moments where I've had to film them on my phone and send them to people, amazing moments where I just felt like I needed to tell someone. It's a special football game, and I'm very excited that it exists.
Do you think it's better than 2013 then, obviously?
Yeah, I do now. Yeah, I think 2013 was very, very good, but this does, like I said, this does feel like a step up. How about you?
Yeah, I haven't played it quite enough to be able to comment. I'll speak more about it next week, but I know that I'm slowly falling in love with it.
Right.
I love the right stick system where you can sort of muscle off people when you're up close.
That's right, yeah.
That really works. In football games especially, it really takes me time to take on new techniques like that, but I was using that from the outset, and I was really, really liking it, because everyone's just more, it's more sort of reined in. You're rarely given space when you're playing against the computer. And I see what you mean when you said that it's really, it feels like it really is pushing the current generation of consoles to their absolute limit, because there are, I mean, some of the cutscenes are stunning to behold, but the frame rate stutters and it can often sort of look like it's going to crash or something.
Yeah, and there's no rain in this year's version, no snow or anything like that, because I can imagine that's just too much.
Oh wow, shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah, it came out maybe 2 weeks ago or something. That there was no weather, but I can understand why, because it doesn't on the pitch, does it? It doesn't really feel like it's happening on the pitch. There's not like big frame rate drops or anything like that, but it does feel like this is next gen technology, kind of like Battlefield does in some ways.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, and there's also, as we've spoken about in the past, there's input delay and strange lag when you're trying to move players around in the menus.
Oh yeah, that's annoying. You use the D-pad incidentally if you're going to do that, because it'll just jump between the players. Yeah. You can't, because dragging them is just horrible.
Yeah, but yeah, the reworked corners and I scored a free kick the other day, and just there's nothing like it. It's so much better than it was last year. And corners, which again we've said before, I don't think I ever scored off a corner in Pro Evo 13, and I scored off one the other day again, and just it's tremendously exciting. As somebody who's not a fan of football, I always thought it was impressive when a football game engaged that well, and this has done it as good as last year's. And I'll speak more about it next week, but potentially much more so. There's still that Konami slight, just like, what are you playing at? Admittedly, I've been attempting to play this online before release, so I don't think it's physically possible to play it, or it hasn't been up until now. But as soon as first off, it only got patched in the other day. Until then, there was nothing on the menu, so I was looking for an online game. It wasn't there. It got patched in, and the first thing it said, it was like, download the data pack update, and I was like, oh, for goodness sake, I can't believe they're gone with the system again. And it's like, where do you download it from? The statistics menu. And I was like, what? Why would you go to a statistics menu, find a data pack update? I mean, honestly, it's one of those things that Pro Evo always does, where you're just like, whose idea was this? Who thought that this was a good system? It doesn't make any sense at all. Anyway, I downloaded the data pack update twice. It took an hour each time, and it corrupted, and it said download it again. But I'm sure that's going to be gone by the time the game launches tomorrow. But yeah, I'll speak more about it in the future. God damn it, it's good.
It certainly is. There was one more thing that I wanted to add. Every idea that I've had on the pitch in PES 2014, I've been able to do. And what I mean by that is I'll see a pass, like a ridiculous, maybe outside of the foot, flicked through ball pass, over the top, behind the defence. Yeah, I managed to get that to work. A certain type of tackle, last ditch, sliding around the corner. The sliding tackles are beautiful in this game. They actually get the foot in and kind of drag it round. Every idea that I've had on the pitch, I've been able to do with the controls. I'm not saying it's worked every time. Defenders have got in the way and whatnot, but just the idea it's allowed me to do. It's an amazing canvas to create football moments, and I'm just really excited that PES is back. It was back last year as well, but it's definitely back, and other people seem to be kind of getting on board. It's not really about eating into FIFA. FIFA's going to do what it does. It's still really good, and it is what it is. In the next gen version, I'm very excited to see it and play it, but it's just nice to have what is probably my favourite ever video game series, almost definitely, back to what it should be, and banishing memories of shitty years, all of this console generation. I'm just glad to have my favourite game back, really.
Yeah, I second that. I can't wait. I feel like playing it just talking about it.
Yeah.
So damn, it's good. All right, okay. Well, my number 2 is Grand Theft Auto 5. I assume it's your number 1.
It is my number 1. Yes.
Okay. How much have you done?
So I've played. I don't know in terms of hours, and I don't want to say exactly where I am in case people want to go in completely blind. And I respect that. But I'm about, I would guess, maybe 12 to 14 hours in, and probably about a quarter of the way into the story, I would guess, maybe a little bit before. I tell you what I have done. There's a series of heists in the game. I've done the first heist, and then a bunch after that. So I don't think it's a spoiler to say that... No, actually it might be, so fuck it, I won't say it. I'm a decent chunk in, but I still feel like I'm only kind of scratching the surface. There's a hell of a lot more to come, which is why I don't want to consider this like a review, because I don't think I've played enough. I wouldn't feel comfortable talking about this right now as a review. So this is more like what I think of the game so far, even though it's probably likely not to actually change. It's such a big game and such a vast, expansive project that I just don't want to label it like that just at this moment in time, if you know what I mean.
Well, how are you finding it so far?
Well, I, as people who know me and probably people who listen to this podcast, I'm a huge fan of these Rockstar's open world games, as so many other people are, considering it made $800 million in the first day. But like a huge fan. Like, it's kind of become fashionable to slate GTA 4 these days. And while that game hasn't aged brilliantly in terms of things like checkpointing and some of the mission design, I still think it's like one of the true masterpieces of this genre. So to get that, what I thought was so amazing about GTA 4 was the level of detail in creating a city that felt, it didn't feel real. It didn't feel like I was in a real city. It felt like I was in the real vision of what they've always tried to create in a GTA city. And this GTA 5 has that level of detail. It's actually got more detail, but it's also got the scope of San Andreas and to a different extent Red Dead Redemption. Just, it starts off brilliantly with the flashback initially, then you're dropped into the city with Franklin, and it felt like I felt like I was back in San Andreas, the game, but also like with the GTA 4 engine, but like way enhanced. It looks fucking phenomenal at times. But then later on, as I've explored North, because at first I was kind of scared to, not because something would happen, but I don't know, I felt like I was safe in the city, I understood what was happening, and out there was just this kind of wild expanse, and maybe part of it was not wanting to see everything the game had to offer straight away, or maybe it was just the fact that this is the first GTA that hasn't restricted you, because all the other GTAs that restricted you to one area, then as you get further, you can open up new areas. But this allows you to drive wherever you want, and that first trip to the desert was just like, this really is quite something. They've really gone above and beyond this time. I don't really understand how this game gets made. I understand that it's made by hundreds and hundreds of people and it costs hundreds of millions of dollars. That I understand, but it more from a creative, artistic and technical point of view, I don't know how the fuck they made this shit.
I mean, it does possess. It is jaw dropping what they've achieved, and you know, it's a beautiful game, and just they've totally and utterly nailed Los Angeles, and it's something that's true of all big cities. But if you've ever been there, I've only been there once.
I've actually not.
Have you not?
No, I've never been.
You notice this in almost every city, but I mean, the discrepancy between rich and poor in Los Angeles is so vast. I remember being, 8 minutes away from Hollywood Boulevard, and on the side of the freeway there was a family living in a shack, and I was just like, you can't get your head around that.
Yeah.
This completely nails that. You can be in the most opulent area, and then a few streets down, you're in a completely different part of town. It somehow manages to put what's a huge city into such a small space, and it looks. I mean, it just looks ridiculous. What I like so much about the storytelling is that one problem that I have had with GTA games in the past is that the storytelling was almost completely restricted to the cutscenes. It would say, you have to go here and do this, you'd go there and do it, you'd come back, more cutscenes, and then the story would move on. In this, a lot of the story comes when you're actually playing the game, and that's so exciting, because it's something that GTA's toyed with a little bit, but by and large it's always been kind of restricted to sort of keeping one in one area, one in the other. I know some people haven't liked this, but I absolutely love the fact that there's 3 characters. And I love the fact that when you flip between them, it's part of me wants to try and break it to see, because whenever you jump to another character, they're somewhere doing something, and you're like, why? How did they get there? I wonder what they were doing. I know if I did it enough times, it would repeat, but it's so cool. It feels like you're toying with a film, bouncing between these 3 different characters. I know a lot of people like the progression of having one sort of cipher to move. I think this is so much more engaging. As far as the police, one issue, another thing that's been a problem for me in GTA games in the past is that the police can often see you through buildings. So one of the best things you were able to do in like Driver is you can take a sharp turn into a back alley, sit there and hide. And GTA's never really allowed you to do that, and you can't really. I mean, now on the when you see the police on the radar, they've got this sort of you can see what their field of vision. If they drive and you're invisible to them, but that touches you through a wall, they'll come and that's a bit of a letdown. But Yeah, I mean, it's incredible so far. I think I'm 25% of the way through the story, according to the stats in the game, and I haven't seen any of the really contentious stuff yet.
No, I've not, so I can't comment on that. At all. Wouldn't want to.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's funny how when GTA 4 came out, I mean, before GTA 4 came out, it's funny that Saints Row 4 just came out and Saints Row 1 came out just before GTA 4. So in that space of time, they've released 3 sequels.
Yeah.
But one thing that Saints Row did, I said, I hope that GTA nicks the adaptable waypoint, because you could never adapt the waypoints previously. You could never set a waypoint and then drive there. It was always just... you had to sort of manoeuvre it yourself, and GTA 4 was GTA 4 the first to do that?
I think so.
Yeah, and in the same way, they've kind of nicked a little bit of Saints Row. Have you done any of Trevor's Rampage missions?
Done one, yeah.
That's straight out of Saints Row, completely consequence free and ridiculous. And then when it's finished, there's no you just it's like Saints Row. It's just like it stops and then the game's back to normal, which seems like. Those guys are definitely paying attention to what Saints Row.
They've made some real concessions, haven't they, as well, to what they used to be with 4 and the older games. They were like stuck in their ways. This is the way GTA works, and that's why 4 didn't have any checkpoints. They made concessions to that in the DLC games, the DLC packs, and then Red Dead and whatnot. I know that's a different team, but it's all fucking same. But this, now you've got the GPS on the map. You never had that before. Now you've got proper checkpointing, actually really like good checkpointing I'm finding in the missions. They've made it a much more playable game. And on that tip, the fucking driving and the shooting are both fantastic. GTA for me from 3 onwards was like, this is amazing. Shame the gameplay isn't that good, but it doesn't matter. Vice City especially. San Andreas improved. 4 decent, but still you'd say like shooting's not great. The driving's good, but it's not like a real driving game. Both of them for me, like the shooting is up there with, once I switched it to free aim, which I'd highly recommend doing, it's just up there, like the way the physics work. The guns are so satisfying. I like the different special moves that you have with Trevor. The fucking psycho filter is amazing. And then the thing that's really blown me away is the driving model. I've spent literally hours just driving, even on the same streets up around the Hollywood Hills and just beyond, in a nice car, just cruising, like not crashing as well, which is something you always used to crash in GTA. You'd eventually spin out or clip something. That still happens a lot, but I've been able to drive for ages without crashing just by softly using the right analog to kind of ease off the gas. It just feels so good just doing that. They finally really, really nailed the gameplay for me, the actual moment-to-moment mission stuff. That was always the weakest part of these games, was the missions. Now I'm fucking looking forward to every mission that come on. Every single one's been a cracker. I haven't been on a shit one yet. Amazing game. One last point that I wanted to make. Like I say, I can't give final verdicts. We haven't seen the contentious stuff. There's loads more of the game to come. We're in a situation where I can take my time a little bit, which is nice, because I must have written 100,000 words on GTA in the past, over reviewing the previous games, writing previews, writing features. It's kind of nice just to be able to play it and talk about it, but not have to actually put any words on paper. But this is a game, I was thinking this yesterday, where at one point I walked up the mountain at the top end of the map, Mount Chiliad. It took me about 20 minutes to walk up. Looked out from the top and you can see everything. I don't know if you've been up there, but the view's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
So you've got that incredible scale. A bit later on, I was flying a plane over that area, and those mountains suddenly seemed small because I was high up in a plane, and it was still taking me ages to just roam this vast expanse and see things moving below, and that was amazing. But then later on still, I was playing as Michael, and I was down in like Venice Beach equivalent, Vespucci Beach, at half health, and I decided to go and buy a hot dog, and just went up, as you do, definitely in GTA 4, and I assume it's the same in this, just walk up to the hot dog guy, press left or right on the D-pad, whatever it is, and buy a hot dog, get your health back. But for some reason, it didn't activate the thing to buy the hot dog, and Michael just did it where he just went up to the hot dog vendor and went, "Fuck you!" So the vendor just stepped out, like, it looked real. He just kind of like got all affronted, and his shoulders went back, and his chest came out, and he kind of stumbled around his cart, and he was like, pushed me, and he was like, "Fuck you, buddy." And then I just pressed R, and Michael just threw a picture perfect uppercut, one shot KO into the guy's jaw, and he just dropped, like his knees buckled beneath him, and he just dropped. And I was like, this is amazing. So, but then everybody started to scatter, and I got a 1 star. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to get in a car and book it. Nicked in a nearby car, started turning around the corner, and then some dude's in the way, some like jock guy is just in his swimming shorts. So I start honking him, and he looks at me, and then grabs a phone and just starts taking a photo of me on his phone. And I was like, how is this the same game where an hour ago I was up in the sky looking at this map? How is it this detailed? And I feel like I'm having real interactions with real people in the crazy GTA world, a world where I love. And I'd imagine next week I'll get to talk about some of the more interesting points of what people are talking about, the representations of characters, representations of female characters, contentious scenes. I'm interested to talk about all of that stuff, but have nowhere near played enough to even go into that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Rockstar do. I mean, this is almost a cliche to say it, but they do things like this on a complete. There's no one to touch them. No. The level of detail is absolutely just boggles the mind. Yeah. And the way they handle. I mean. The sort of hustle and bustle of New York was kind of replicated to a degree in GTA 4, but there's bits in this where one of the worst things about Los Angeles is traffic. If you go and ask somebody, a taxi driver, to take you somewhere and say you need to be here by a certain time, he'll laugh at you. There are bits where you can tell that how it's sort of cleverly, as soon as one car goes out there, it will appear on a different. But the hustle and bustle of being in a city and it being really fast and so much going on, I don't know how they did it on this current hardware. I don't think anything's come even close to how sort of effective they've done that. Effectively, sorry. The driving, you're right about the driving. It's the best it's ever been. It's no surprise that it's kind of taken a little bit of burnout with it, especially when you're playing as Franklin. Yeah. But yeah, it's at this point, it's as well as being jaw dropping technically. I like the way it's doing things with the narrative. I think it's incredibly special. Again, I can't really talk about. I mean, the misogyny thing is difficult because a lot of people are talking about it whilst also saying they haven't played it, and I still have a problem with that. Yeah, I do. People are sort of, Graham Linehan, someone who everyone respects, and he was on Twitter saying. It's making all of these concrete judgments and comments about the game, and I just thought, God, I mean, there's no way you do that about a book or a film that you hadn't seen or a book you hadn't read. There's no way in the world. I don't know why it's kind of rewound almost 100 years, so people think that this is... Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I do know that I felt kind of uncomfortable a couple of times because it seemed so full on. I mean, there was that comment at the beginning where Michael's sons and his sister are having his son and daughter are having an argument. He's like, "Oh, fucking rape you! I'll rape you!" And I was just like... I kind of just wish it wasn't there, but at the same time, these are supposed to be the most unpleasant people on the planet, and if I'm saying that that's wrong, is there a line that's crossed, and where is that line? Do we need to compile a list of things? I think people go off on these weird tangents and they don't realise what they're actually asking. I mean, I think there's no argument that they're supposed to be scumbags, but hopefully, I mean, I'd like to see no more of that crap just because it's kind of, but it's supposed to be. That's the problem. Yeah. It's the problem with all of these situations.
What I will say, I mean, I'll put my hands up first, right? This is not me finalising my opinion. I need to play a lot more of the game, and I don't know. Something might happen later in the game. I might change my opinion. I'm more than open to that. So this isn't me stamping my feet and going, this is what I think, and I'm never changing my mind. I'm never like that anyway, but especially now. But having played, and I think some of the people who talk about this stuff haven't actually played a lot of GTA. Having played to completion every single Grand Theft Auto game and expansion pack, every single one, I think that I have a fairly decent understanding of the tone that they're trying to create. I don't think this is tonally much different to 4 or to San Andreas or to Vice City. They're all very similar. The kind of Rockstar hyper-real world is very similar in all of them. And basically, it is a world where everyone, from the characters, from the supporting cast, to the fucking people in the street, everyone is terrible. But they're all played for laughs, even when it gets nasty. Now, again, not seeing the contentious stuff, so like I said, gonna withhold judgment on final opinions, blah, blah, blah. It's not justifying what I'm saying. I would be surprised that I will change. If I would be surprised if anything made me think in a different way, even if occasionally it might make you go, ugh. But I've always given them a break because they're writing however many thousands of pages of script compared to a 2-hour movie or whatever. But that's the world that they've created. Everybody on the street, the random people, everyone, male, female, everyone is awful. Everyone. That's what it is. But not in a depressing way. I just find it funny. But that's been the world that they've created especially since 3, but even since the first game. So, which was different people. But let's see. Let's see what I think later on.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of talk about. Have you done any of the paparazzi missions?
Yes, I've done the first 2 or 3, I think.
That is amped up the most unpleasant character I've ever seen in anything. I think.
Yeah.
It's so vulgar and unpleasant and just a scumbag. But he kind of reminded me of that famous sort of semi-famous clip where Steve Coogan and Greg Dyke are grilling that guy who used to run the Daily Mirror or something.
I don't.
It was on.
Yes, I have. Sorry, yeah, I have seen that. Yeah.
And he has the physical attributes of a worm. He's just slouching going.
Of course, yeah.
He's just you are absolutely repellent, and this seems like that turned up to fucking 5001.
Yeah.
And people saying that's unpleasant. I'm like, that guy he's clearly supposed to be. Well, anyway, we'll talk about.
Fuck yeah. Well, if you're saying that's unpleasant and you're saying, I don't like the game, then I'm sorry, you're stupid. It's come on, this guy's a scumbag. He's supposed to be a scumbag. It's supposed to be a very obvious comment on how fucking scummy paparazzi are. Yeah. It's not like it's difficult. Yeah, that's just people getting fucking their knickers in a twist. I mean, boys.
Yeah, but the danger with all of that stuff, as always, is that everyone tries to insinuate that this implies that the people who created it are unpleasant. And I just, when talk goes in that direction, I want to tear my hair out.
Yeah, me too.
But we shouldn't speak about it because we haven't finished it. But I'm sure we'll talk about it.
Or even, I don't feel like I've played enough. I mean, you don't necessarily have to finish it, but I definitely don't feel like I've played enough. But oh well. Yeah, we've been, both of us, I think, have been frustrated throughout the week and reading things. But what we should actually do is just unfollow all the people that annoy us on Twitter and just basically follow each other and maybe 3 other people, Danny Dyer, someone else, and then we won't have any of these problems anymore. But God damn it, if we're not addicted to the chaos, much like the characters in Grand Theft Auto 5, they call me a professional.
Nicely done. Okay. All right, well, my number 1 is...
I thought it was finished, yeah.
Yeah, no. My number 1 is Legend of Zelda Wind Waker on HD.
Of course it is, yes, I knew you'd been playing this.
Yeah, on the Wii U. There's not much really to say. It was a near masterpiece is it 2003 it came out, I think?
What? Oh, just fucking kill me. 2003?
Yeah, I'm sure it's 10 years ago.
Damn.
What?
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, no, it just makes me feel old. It was because it was the game that I bought the minute after I finished uni, which makes it 2003. Yeah. So I finished my final exam, whatever, and went to the shop, bought the Wind Waker, went home, fell asleep. Everyone else had gone out for the night. Big last night out, I fell asleep, didn't even get to play Wind Waker or go out. Terrible night.
Nice one. Okay. Yeah. It was a near masterpiece back then, and it still is. It's interesting seeing people react to the visual style because, I mean, in making it this kind of cartoon brought to life, they've effectively rendered it timeless because with this sort of HD lick of paint, it looks better than... None of the character models have been changed, but the environment, I think it looks amazing. There's a sort of subsection of hardcore Zelda fans who are talking about something called blooming. Have you read about this?
I haven't read about it. I heard some people are saying something about it.
Yeah, about the look. There's a comparison video on Eurogamer, and there's hundreds of comments underneath it. And apparently, the way the light effects work, it kind of blooms out some of the detail or something. I didn't quite understand it. I mean, they showed these comparison videos, and if you read through the comments, it's all of these people saying this is awful, this is terrible, and every 5 or so, you'll just have some person saying, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't believe how good it looks in HD, and that's the camp I'm in. It made my jaw drop non-stop. It looked like back when you were playing it in 2003 that you were interacting with a cartoon, and now it looks like that even more so, and it just feels timeless. The game is, it's tremendous. I reviewed it and I gave it 9 out of 10, and I said if you've never played this before, the 9 out of 10 is an insult because there were stretches when I was playing it and I just thought that there's no way this isn't a 10 out of 10 game. It's Nintendo doing what they do better than anybody else. It is incredible. I mean, it's 10 all day. The only thing that sort of hurts it a little bit is that it's difficult when you go back to old games. I understand if you were to tinker with the fundamentals, especially in a game as vast as a Zelda game, it would be like pissing around with a house of cards. So there's changes I know it would have been a real pain for them to make. but some of the just a little bit archaic. These are problems that you get used to, so it's not like they're not completely detrimental to everything else. But for example, I understand. I really wanted kind of like a different control option. There are so many buttons on the Wii U gamepad that you just kind of think. You still go to pick up something and you'll do a combat roll because outside of combat, it's only one button. It's based around one button, and that's great for younger players especially. But when you're sitting there with this thing with all these buttons, you're just like, I'd like the option at least of a hardcore control style. But you do get used to that, so it's not a problem. There's still things like if you destroy all of the perishables that are essential for you to progress, you still have to go out of a room and then come back in. But that was in the game initially, so you can't help that. The other thing that is something that bothered me because I don't use lock-on very much. When I'm in combat, I don't tend to use lock-on unless I have to.
Right.
So, for example, if you're sprinting around a boss and you press, you want to use you go into first person. The first person is always Link's perspective and not the camera's. So, So if you're running, you press it, you'll be looking sideways. Whereas you'd never see that in a game now. It would just default to the camera view to try and be a bit more helpful. So that takes some getting used to as well. They're just things that are just from a different era, and they feel a bit weird playing them now, but you do get used to them. The Wii U's thumbsticks are very sensitive, very sensitive. So when you're in first-person mode or you're conducting the wind. It's really, really quite difficult at first. It's moving around in first person, especially because there's no way to alter the sensitivity of the thumbstick. So honestly, that's took me longer to get used to than anything else. And you can either use the touchscreen or you can use the thumbsticks for conducting the wind, but it demands such precision of you that in itself is, and again, it's something that you do get used to, but it's really, really tough because of the sensitivity, and you can't change the sensitivity of either. So, but these things are, like I said, you get used to all of them, and what you're left with is an absolutely stunning game, a stunning Zelda game, just a stunning video game. I mean, if you've never played it, it will be a contender for your game of the year. It's a joy to behold. Every time someone came round to my house in the past 3 weeks, I've stuck it on and said, you've got to see what this looks like. And apart from a couple of instances when they're sort of a couple of the bosses show up, there's occasional frame rate dips. They're very, very minor. It's incredible. And the gamepad implementation, you can play the whole thing on the gamepad if you want. And there's also Pro Controller support, so I played a bit with the Pro Controller. But it's hard to overestimate how brilliant it is that when you're playing the game on the gamepad and you've got your itinerary and your map permanently on the screen and it moves in real time. So, but when you're going through some of the really tough temples, to be able to just look down and see exactly where you are and where you've got to go, rather than jumping in and out of menus constantly, and to change what you've got, weapons, you just drag and drop. It's so much better. It's no longer the stop-start game it was. It's visually, again, it's just fucking stunning. When you see a thunderstorm on the horizon moving towards you, it's unbelievable. Honestly, this is the most jaw-dropping. It makes the quest for photorealism completely redundant. I mean, I know that works for driving games and shooters and stuff like that, but when you can create something that's just like so involving just because of how completely bewitching it looks and unusual. And the game's just great. It was great back then. It's great now, and it looks amazing. And if you haven't played it, it's probably going to be your game of the year.
Awesome. I'm tempted to get it. I did play it back in the day. I never finished it because I got a bit bored. I think that's quite a common complaint. I felt like I was going through the motions towards the back end. But I might grab it, because I just to look at it.
Yeah.
I just want to look at it. And I don't know. I honestly, I don't think I'd get that far in it. I'd probably maybe get 3 or 4 hours in, but that might almost be worth it. How much does it cost?
It's full price. That's it's $40, $50 or whatever. Yeah,
that's tough. Yeah, that's kind of tough. I kind of thought for some reason it might be about £20.
When you see it in HD.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I just kind of thought it might be, but yeah.
You can also, if you were bored by the sailing, after you do, I think the first boss, you can buy this sail that lets you swim. The boat goes twice as fast.
Oh, that's good.
Which is handy, and but then there's obviously that warp song that you get, so you can walk around. It's stunning, fucking stunning. If you haven't played it, honestly, you've got a fucking treat in store.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So that's it, isn't it?
That's it, done.
Yeah. Sorry about the games earlier on in the list, but we Everyone's been playing GTA. Everyone's been playing GTA. Everyone in the world has been playing GTA. So thank you very much for listening. Check us out this week if you want to hear a little bit more about our lives and answering some readers' questions. As I mentioned, we were on JoyPod this week. So yeah, check that out on spong.com, or it's easy to find on iTunes. That was a fun one. And yeah, check us out on Twitter at John Denton, at Chet Roivas, at Chet and Johns, you know the deal. And yeah, we said it before, but if you could and you'd like to go on the YouTube channel, just Chet and John on YouTube and hit subscribe. It would massively help us. It helps with our positioning of future videos on searches. It helps with everything like that could possibly be a good thing on YouTube. And also, you know, there's some cool content on there. Some of it's just clips from the show, so you might not want to watch that back in case you want to see what you might do because you want to see what the game looks like. But there's some loads of original content on there as well, which hopefully I think is pretty decent. Anyway, enough from me. Thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you next week. Peace out.
Yes, thank you very much. See you later.
Oh, one more thing. If you're going to the Eurogamer podcast meet on the Friday night, can't remember the name of the pub, but I know it's near the Earl's Court, and I think it might be called the Prince of Wales. 2, I think it starts around 7. I'll be there, fingers crossed, in case work might get in the way, but I'm 95% going to be there, so it'd be really good to see people and say hello. So yeah, I'll check you there.
If you're in London on Wednesday, put Mount Your Friends UK into Twitter, and you'll find that there's a Mount Your Friends UK Championship going on Wednesday night in some pub in Soho.
It's at the Loading Cafe, which is on Rupert Street in Soho. It's actually the building's called the Mad Cafe, MADD, but Loading's in there. They may have changed the sign now to make it more obvious, but yeah, go in there. It's a weird road. There's loads of strip clubs, but there's also this cool gaming bar, so go there.
Yeah, go and do that. But yeah, okay, thanks for listening. Take it easy.
Yeah, peace out. Go and sizzler.
The commencement of hostilities. Ambulance is on standby. Health insurance policies have been checked. The physios are going to be really busy. Keep an eye on the touchline. It promises to be pyrotechnic down there. Football match should be good, but that dust-up, well, I'd pay a big subscription to watch that. Coaches so often say to players, treat the ball as a friend. And the unstoppable force in possession yet again.
In more than one way, John. It was his right foot. Know what I mean?
The second half now underway, and hopefully everyone's had a chance during half-time just to calm down. So away we go for this game. A fascinating contest, surely, but not fascinating enough for one or two spectators who've lingered by the bar. Here comes the secondary threat. Possibility! Nobody should be disappointed now for having come to the stadium to witness this, rather than just watching it on the television.
Presented gallery of all of their games. They've done over 50. I didn't realise it was that many, but there's like an interactive where you can flick through, which is quite nice. And also they've got this little library of all of it, well, not all of it, but like criticism that they've received. So there's a menu, and it's just all of this stuff. Like, these guys are con artists, and like they've made the worst games ever made. Some of them are quite spiteful, some of them are quite amusing, some of them are both together. And I really like that. I don't think it's worth paying 69p for, but I do like what they do.
Yeah, I like old Silver Dollar. I've got a lot of time for them, especially after One Finger Death Punch, as we talked about multiple times.
Yeah, I'm tempted to go through their entire back catalogue, which I might do.
But just to trial it all up.
Well, no, I think I'd quite like. Well, I'm quite skint at the moment, but I'd like to buy every game they've made and just like be able to be like the encyclopedia on their stuff, because some of it's really does look quite interesting.
It cost you about like 35 quid or something?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. My number 8 it's not great. It's the iFruit app for Grand Theft Auto 5. I thought I'd do it separately, seeing as it's not really worth talking about when you're talking about the proper game. You've obviously seen that it talks about this all the time in the game, tells you to download it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually quite shit. You download it, and it is a way of training Chop the dog, and you can also customize your car on another bit of it, and then there were some other parts that were just more Rockstar Game Social Club stuff. I didn't really understand, like a preview of the game, which is weird. I don't really know why they released it. The car customization stuff's really bad because you can't see any of the parts or anything like that. It's just like a picture, like a side-on blueprint almost of your car, and then you can just choose to pick different things to put on it, and then it will zap that to your Xbox or whatever, and you'll have it when you go back on, but you can't see any of it. So if you're customizing a car, you want to see what the fucking hood looks like, or the spoiler, or any of that shit, and you can't see any of it, so that's a waste of time. It does allow you to customize your license plate, though, which I'm not sure.
Fuck you.
Hello and welcome to episode 80 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Rovius. With me as usual is John Denton.
Hello.
Over the next indeterminate period of time, we're going to go through two top 10 lists, the 10 games we've been playing over the past 7 days. The number 10s are the games we've been playing the least. The number 1s are the games we've been playing the most, and I think that's it, John. Let's do this.
All right, my number 10... Listen, it's rubbish. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not a great one. It had intended to be good, but it didn't happen through reasons that will become clear later on. It's the Jak and Daxter trilogy on PlayStation Vita, which is on PS Plus. However, I didn't really get a chance to play it. I've never played any of the Jak and Daxter games before, apart from Jak X, which was the kart racer, which I reviewed for Games TM years and years and years ago, and that was fucking awful. But by all accounts, the real deals are very good, and obviously they're from a studio with impeccable pedigree. So I'm excited to check them out. They took longer than I thought they would to download, and then I just think it's terrible. I've got no excuse. I've got no good excuse for why I didn't actually get a chance to play them. But look at this as a PSA. If you have PlayStation Plus and didn't realise that Jak and Daxter trilogy was on there for Vita, it is. So get it. It's about 3 gig if you need that much space on your card. And I'll have a go soon. But, it's not like they're not old games. People know if they're good or not.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I played those a little while ago, didn't I, on PS3, and I was surprised by how they were pretty consistently excellent, to be honest. And they've got that.
That's
great
right, you did, didn't you?
Yeah, they're really, really good. I mean, I think they got. Did they get better? I can't remember. They're consistently good anyway. So yeah, do that. Are they on PS3 as well, or just? Vita?
I would have thought so. Yeah, I've not checked it on PS3.
Okay. Well, my number 10 is a game called Bullet Car on PC/Mac. It's a flash game, browser game. Somebody mentioned it on Twitter. I don't remember who, and I don't know why, because it is a couple of years old. I think it's from 2011. It's if you want to search for it, search for Bullet Car. I think the publisher. I didn't realise flash games had publishers, but it's on the website of a company called Armour Games. It's developed by someone called The Podge, who has his own website. I assume it's a he. I assume it's one solitary fat man. I don't want to, just because of the name. But anyway, it's a side-on downhill racer, and you literally, it's like a side-on bike racer. It's a car racer. You switch between a car and a bullet, and you change to a bullet when you want to smash through barriers or go over long distances, or destroy enemies that periodically sort of float in front of you. It moves so fast that it's really twitchy. And it's really Moorish. I got completely hooked on it for a little while. What's odd is that there are achievements and loads of things are locked, so there's loads of unlockables, which is asking a lot of people for just like a flash game.
Yeah.
It's asking people to invest a load of time. But it's a really good idea and it works really well. Yeah, you're just flipping between being this car and being this bullet. It's good. It's really quite good. Bullet Car. It's a good little time waster, though I don't know why you'd want to get achievements and whatnot on it.
Just Google it. Just Bullet Car, Google it.
Bullet Car, Armour Games, done.
Sweet. All right. My number 9 is a game called Project Rap on Xbox Live Indie Game Service. I discovered this about 5 minutes before the podcast because I needed one more game. and it's utterly bizarre. You pick a rapper, and then a line will come up at the top of the screen, and then you have to end that line with a bunch of words that appear on the screen, and you have to quickly move your cursor over one of the words and click it, and then the next line will come up, and then a bunch more words will come up, and you have to try and pick one that rhymes, and then as you're doing it, the rapper will actually rap the words that are happening, so everything's voice recorded, and I found it fucking hilarious, just trying to, it starts. So the homie's rolling in the club or something like that. The homie's rolling in the club and we're going to do... And then it gives you a gap and you've got to be sure if you can actually do that in the game or not. So that's all right. And then the chop the dog thing. It's like, fucking... I can't believe that... I actually can't believe that Rockstar released something like this because it is like a shit... It's just like any shit app where you just play with a dog and chuck a ball around and like feed him food. It's like a Tamagotchi thing for a dog. But it doesn't have that... You'd think if Rockstar was to release like a Tamagotchi thing, it would be like sort of quite a biting parody of nothing, basically, but they'd still make it funny and just stupid and crass. But it's not. It's just a bit shit, and it's got really bad reviews on the App Store, of thousands of downloads, and I can't see me ever using it. To be honest, it's a pretty whack companion app, and I'm surprised that it keeps mentioning it in the game. So it ain't great.
Do you reckon it was even developed by Rockstar? Surely they farmed that out to someone else.
I guess so, but they've got so many teams, haven't they? That I don't know, but yeah, I'm not too sure why it exists. The potential for a good companion app is definitely there, but I mean, I'm all for them spending that money on the game rather than some app. But yeah, it ain't great.
Is it massively free? Is it hugely beneficial anyway? I mean, training the dog, I know it can be your companion and it will listen to you, but. Well, I suppose you won't know that until you finish the game, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it's massively beneficial. I think it's just something you can do. I think.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I've downloaded it. I haven't used it, but I love it.
I just thought I'd separate it out just in case people were thinking about getting it or not. I mean, it's free, so just get it or don't get it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. Fair play. Okay, my number 8 is Super Street Fighter 4 on the Xbox 360.
It's been a while for me.
Yeah, it's been a while for me too. Not very long, but I mean, yeah. Battlefield 3 went down on Friday night. I don't know what happened. The servers all died and you just couldn't play it. And so the people I was playing with, the only game we all had was Super Street Fighter 4, so we stuck it on and we sat in the lobby, and it was just amazing. Stick it in a museum, one of the best games ever made. We had a lobby of 4 and there was 3 of us and we were just like round and round, winner stays on, and we were the whole time we were like, come on,
like all these stupid words that you can pick, and then it's like, and the shorty is there, and you go, and the fucking rhymes are terrible, but just trying to link them together quickly, because you have to move fast, because if it gets to the end of the line and you're still trying to pick a word, then the tune sounds terrible. So it's actually quite a good idea. I was tempted. I played it for about 5 minutes. Thought it was pretty funny. I was tempted just to drop the 69 penneth on it, just because I like the idea, and it has potential to be, to actually be pretty hilarious, I think.
I saw the box art and I assumed that it's like you needed a microphone to play it.
No, you don't. No.
Okay, well, I'm going to play that as well. So, I mean, are you going to?
I'm going to play more of the trial, because I didn't finish the trial. I just played it for 5 minutes. It seemed to be quite a generous trial, and then I might. It's only 69 penneth.
All right, yeah. Okay, well, I mean, I saw that in the store, and I think I might have downloaded it, so I might talk about it next week.
Sweet.
Okay, my number 9 is also an Xbox Live indie game. It's called Learn to Eat.
That's the one I almost picked, and then I saw Project Rap.
I downloaded it as well because I saw the little logo at the bottom, Silver Dollar Games, so I thought it was worth a look. A lot of the criticism that they've taken is that their games are very primitive. They're deliberately sort of simplistic, and I can't imagine they've done anything as simplistic in this. This does take the cake. You control an egg-shaped... I mean, the artwork must have been done in minutes. It's a baby or a person with a bald head, I don't know, and then you literally control the spoon. So you lower it, you dip it into some soup, which is all sorts of multicolours. It's basically paint, and then you raise it up and you press A when it gets to the mouth. But it just starts wobbling and you can't control it, and you end up just walloping paint all over yourself. It's not worth 69 pence because it's the most simple thing in the world. I found it quite difficult to dislike because at the end of the day, it is an idea. It does work, and I can imagine kids being entertained with it for a few minutes or whatever. What really made me like it, not so much the game. I'm more enamoured with Silver Dollar Games the more I find out about them. But the best thing about it is that there's a really nice